Hey everybody, it's Mom of Two, Wife of One. So I just wanted to come on here really quickly and remind you guys to provide a safe space for your children to talk to you. My son is 13, and as you know, when it comes to teenagers, they can have hormones on one end, but like puberty just kind of kicks their butt because hormones, when people think about that, they think about, oh my gosh, their boy crazy or their girl crazy. With my son, he's not really focused on girls at all right now, but it's more he has a lot of different emotions and he doesn't always know how to control the emotions. They kind of come out of nowhere. So today wasn't, the best day for him in terms of his focus, in terms of his attitude. And, I took it all in stride. I didn't yell at him, but I did kind of let him know, like, hey, fix your face. Hey, stop. Because he'll do this thing where I'll say something to him and I can tell from his body language he doesn't like it. So today he had that facial, excuse me, had that facial expression, had that body language before he took a shower. So he left my room, he went in the bathroom and closed the door, and I could hear him saying something, and I knew it was basically what he wished he could have said to my face. And I don't like that. So I opened the door before he took his clothes off, and I was like, hey, watch your mouth, stop talking slick under your breath. I don't like that, that's disrespectful. And I closed the door and I left him alone. Now, at this point, I'm definitely irritated with him, but when he came to tell me goodnight, normally he says his prayers, he gives me a kiss, says he loves me, says goodnight, and then he walks out. So this time, he said his prayers and he just stood there and looked at me and he said, can I talk to you? I was like, sure, of course you can, sure. And I knew that he was going to kind of break down some things. And one of the things he did this morning is that kind of did something that made me upset. And every morning when I leave, I drop his sister off and then I call him to pray with him. I called him 3 times this morning. He didn't pick up the phone. And he always picks up the phone. And I knew it was intentional. And I was like, oh, heck no, we're going to have to nip this in the bud. Not doing that. So when he sat down, he was like, the reason why I didn't pick up the phone is because of this reason. And I said, okay, well, let's discuss this. Let me explain to you why I reacted the way I did this morning. Let me explain to you how sometimes you need to figure out in your head when you're asking somebody for something if it's a want or if it's a need. You have to think about the timing of your question. It's basically like the internet was acting up this morning. He was like, so urgent, mommy, the internet's not working. And in our house, electronics, iPad, phones, whatever, you can't play with that stuff in the morning, especially the morning you have to go to school. So it shouldn't have been on any kind of electronic anyway. So that's what I was focused on. Like, no, you already know you're not supposed to be on that in the first place. But also the timing of it. You're asking me to help you with this, which I'm sure wouldn't be an easy task. And I'm in my mommy mode. In the morning, I have my schedule, I have my routine. I get up, I do this, I do that. I'm getting his sister ready, I drop her off, and then I call him to pray with him, and then I drive an hour to work. So, my goal in the morning is making sure everybody gets to where they need to go on time. I give everybody hugs and kisses, everybody knows I love them, and then I keep it pushing. So, to ask me for that in the morning when you know that I'm in this routine, you know that I'm focused on doing what I need to do, wasn't the best idea. And I didn't yell at him this morning. I was just like, that's not my concern right now. I got to go take her to school. You're not supposed to be on the computer anyway, and left it alone. So he's talking to me, and I was like, what you asked for this morning was a want. It was not a need, it was not a necessity. What you were trying to do on your computer is something you could have done later this evening, something you could do tomorrow. It didn't have to be done right then and there. I was like, also, when you're asking for things, you have to think about the other person. Not only the distinguishing a want from a need, but also is this something that this person, my mother, my father, whatever, is this something that they can physically do right now? Mommy is trying to get your sister to school. I have to go to work. That, we have this machine and it's running and this is what we're doing. So when you're asking somebody for something, think about the other person. Think about their availability. Think about their limitations. Just, think about the other person before you just have it, be in your feelings and ask them to do whatever for you. And he understood and it was fine. But I also explained to him, I understand that you were upset, but you have to understand after everything that just happened in Texas with all of those babies being killed, as parents, we are deeply impacted. And not saying we're the only ones, obviously. You don't have to be a parent to be impacted by what happened. But as a parent who constantly sends their children to school, to elementary school and to middle school, that thought never leaves your mind that something could happen. And especially because it's so fresh on all of our minds right now, I told him, you not answering that phone is not good. Because as parents, we want to hold our children extra tight to us, but I still have to send you to school every morning. So, at the very least, I need to make sure that the last words you hear from me, if they're the last words in the morning when we pray, you need to hear that I love you. You need to hear that I'm praying for you. And you need to know that I'm proud of you. And granted, I tell him that stuff all the time, so he knows that. But as a mom, it's important to me that he hears that, knowing that any day, if something crazy happens, those could be the last words he hears from me. So it's important to me, and I told him that he connects with me and answers the phone. And he understood, and it was fine. It was a great conversation. But it had me thinking about how I wouldn't have been able to have that kind of conversation with my parents when I was 13. And I also wouldn't have known how to really form those words. You know what I'm saying? Like that space wasn't made for me when I was younger. There was not a space for me to communicate my thoughts and my feelings and my fears and even my frustration with my parents. It just wasn't there. And even if it happened, I probably would not have known the words to use. So I'm grateful that my son and I can have these conversations, that he's comfortable talking to me. He's comfortable saying, you know, you made me mad when you did this. Or I was really annoyed with you when you did this. It's not great to hear, but I'm glad that he's comfortable talking to me because I told him, like, you can have all the feelings you want and you can express them as best you can as long as you are respectful. So I just want to encourage you parents out there or you guardians out there, create a safe space for your children so that they come and talk to you. If not, they're going to fill up with resentment and it'll just lead to a bunch of silent treatments in your house or you blowing your top at them and not really listening to them and not really assessing their feelings about things. It's so important that our generation are a little we just a little more mature and do little things a little differently than the generation before us, and hopefully the generation after us will do things a whole lot better than we are. But definitely create that safe space for your children whenever you get a chance. It was very therapeutic, and I'm just glad to have that relationship with my son. So I just want to get on here real quick and share that. Hope you guys have a lovely day, and I'll see you soon. Peace.